Let me tell you about the components of this course, the assessment, the non-assessed work, and the events that you'll be attending if you decide to take the course. Start with the assessed work. There's a long essay due sometime in the summer of 2021, and that will actually count for the main part of your marks on this module. 70% of the credit goes for that long essay. There are then 3 short in-term assignments that you're going to do as the course goes on during the term that it's running, and those will make up the other 30% of your mark. In addition to that, there is quite a bit of formative work. For each of the seminars that you do, there will be weekly tasks on YY-Rama. Those typically involve writing a 400-word essay and also providing a peer review to another student of their work. I would like you, please, to take the peer review process very seriously. I think peer reviews can be useful to you in thinking about how to revise your work, but also the opportunity to read and think critically about another student's work and provide some comments to them can actually hone your own ability to do philosophy. Peer review is an important part of my life as a philosopher doing some research, and it should be an important part of your life as a philosopher doing some research. There are also some in-lecture micro-tasks on the Zoxy tool, which if you've ever taken a course in logic you will have used in the first year, the Zoxy logic tool. I would say that those are probably a little bit less important. The idea there is just for you to check that you've really got the main points of each of the units that you've taken. To a large extent those are multiple choice questions, so they're not supposed to take you very deep. Now what about the feedback? Here's something very important. When you do those 3 in-term assignments, you're not going to get any feedback on those. I'm not going to give you any feedback on those. The reason for that is very simple. I like to give you the feedback in advance rather than after the fact. I think that too much of your university career is spent doing some work, submitting it, it's the end of the course, and then you get the feedback. But you don't care anymore because you finished that assignment and you're on to another assignment typically. Or maybe you do care, but it's kind of history. Right. So I'd rather give you the feedback in advance and then get you to do the work. Much more interesting for me giving you feedback when I know it's going to go into the final piece of work, making it more interesting for me to read. And my students tend to be more interested in feedback in advance when they can go ahead and use it. So what I'm going to do is, for the weekly seminar tasks on YY-Rama, you'll have the system of peer reviews and they'll be discussed in the seminar. Your seminar tutor will have considered each piece of work that everybody in that seminar group has submitted and will have thought about the seminar accordingly. So although you're not going to get a lot of written feedback from your seminar tutor, it's through the seminars and the process of peer review that you get the feedback there, not through handing in some work and getting feedback after it's already over. So there's the feedback. I want to stress that there's also this document which will explain everything about assessment and feedback on the main page for moral psychology. This is moralpsychology.butterfield.com, and if you look at the material from before deciding whether to take this course, you can see that there is a link there that takes you to this PDF document that breaks down the assessment, explains about the writing drafts and the feedback. Very good. So what about the events? Well, there are really 2 main weekly events for this course. One is the seminar. This is the weekly meeting which occurs in weeks 2 onwards, except reading week, which is week 6. And the purpose of the seminar on this course is to discuss the things that you have written in the YY-Rama exercise for the seminar. The purpose of the seminar is to discuss the things that you have written. So typically when I'm doing seminars, I have a bunch of questions that I get people to work through, but I've written those questions while I was reading the work that you wrote for this seminar. And I may well be asking you to ask something on the basis of what you've written in the seminar. Check the feedback on YY-Rama, or I may well be asking you about your essay in the seminar itself. The point of the seminar on this course is to discuss the work that you have written in preparation for that seminar. Then there's a live whole class question session. Now, I think the best way to run a live whole class question session is for you to ask questions in advance in writing in a place where everybody on the course can see what the questions are. They can see your questions in the Teams channel, and they can give your questions a thumbs up if they also want their question answered, or they can write a variant of that question if they're curious about it. I think this is a good process for two reasons. One is that it means that I'm putting in a lot more work here. I'm not just turning up and answering questions spontaneously. If I've got lots of questions, I'm organising them, thinking about the structure, preparing some slides and some thoughts so that I can give you perhaps a deeper or a more concise answer than I could do if I was on the spot. So it is a case of you getting more work out of me. But much more importantly than that is this. Philosophy is done by asking questions. Philosophy is done by asking questions. If you think about a live online meeting with roughly 100 people, it won't be that everybody gets to ask questions, but it's very important for you as a philosopher to ask questions. As a student of this course, a lot of your work is actually just to be posing and developing, formulating questions. So it's very important for you to ask questions. And it's for that reason that you should see as a key part of your work each week, going through the recorded lectures, yes, but then thinking, well, what are the questions that I have? What are the questions that I still want answered? Going through the reading, absolutely, do the reading. But having done the reading, what are the sort of questions that now arise? What are the things that seem pressing to me? It can be a basic clarificatory question. It can be a super deep question that no one's ever thought about before. Let's have those questions well in advance, ideally 24 hours, but 6 is okay, in the Teams channel, key part of your doing philosophy. And then that live whole class event will be a response to all of those questions from the Teams channel. So that's how the key components of this course work. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you at our live meeting later this week.